and Sync 366 video series. Today is 66 of 366 videos for this leap year. I'm not sure how I'm going to do 300 more videos, but I'm going to try, whether it's one person that watches or thousands of people that watches. If anybody learns one thing, all of the videos are worth it. That's how I'm looking at it. Oh, we have a visitor. This is Ra. It's raining again here in California. And so today I want to talk about inorganic thoughts. I know a lot of people think that their thoughts are their own, but there is something called a collective consciousness. So we are all parts of a whole. And because we all have a mind, there's also a collective consciousness. That's the collective mind of the global earth community, if you will, collective consciousness. So when we have inorganic thoughts, it's important for you to be able to recognize what an inorganic thought is. And this is where awareness comes in. But it's very common for people to have inorganic thoughts. That's why I created the Peace Program. These inorganic thoughts are not organic, meaning they're not even yours. They don't come from you. There's something called the hive mind. There's implantation of thoughts. There are ways that thoughts come into your mind and they loop and they loop and they loop. They're not yours. And I know everybody likes to think, we've been conditioned to think that our thoughts are individually our own, when a lot of times, if you have vulnerabilities in your energy field, those are not going to be your thoughts. They're going to be implanted thoughts or inorganic thoughts, or however you want to interpret them. But I interpret them several different ways. So how do you recognize them? I think that would be the most helpful thing for you to do. You can't get rid of them all, but you can't get rid of them at all if you don't even recognize that they're happening. So an inorganic thought would be a thought that comes into your mind that, like, that is a crazy thought. I never would have thought that. And it's something that's outlandishly something that's going on in your mind that would go out of the normal train of thought. So, for example, maybe it's not such a bad thing that you think that you are, let's just say, you're fat. Oh, I'm fat. That might be something that you've thought for as long as you have been alive. But if you say like something like, let's just say you start calling yourself names, that most likely, if that's not something you normally did, like let's just say normal, whatever normal is for you, because everybody's normal is different. And let's just be really clear. Natural and normal are very different things. So, what is normal for you and what is natural, two different things. What is normal for you and inorganic, another different thing. So, you could see this is a rabbit hole. But I'm going to try to keep it really concise. So let's just say you think that you're fat and you think that. But then when you start saying, you call yourself names, like nasty names, or, oh, I'm a jerk, or you should just go have a drink because you're useless anyways. And like thoughts like that. Anything that's calling you a name or telling you horrible things about yourself is not an organic thought. Um, and it's not just having low self esteem. That is actually not an organic thought. So when you can recognize that, I think I need another example before I go into what to do. Another example, I don't have these. So, another example of an inorganic thought, I'm trying to think of clients that have come to me that have this. A lot of times they will think thoughts about other people that are not necessarily accurate. Those would be another way that thoughts can be inorganic. You don't know what you're picking up on. So I had somebody the other day tell me they're sensing something. Well, they weren't sensing it from me. It was their own stuff. So that's not an inorganic thought necessarily. That might be a projection, but that's another video. Anyway, so when you recognize that you have these thoughts that are not your own, and they could be anything, and you could be like, well, that's not how my normal train of thinking is. The first place you want to do is go into your heart, connect with your heart. Because when you allow your mind to keep going down that rabbit hole of those thoughts, that is when you get spiraled out into anxiety or depression or panic or fight or flight. Like there's a lot of different directions you can go. All of them will take you further away from peace. To get connected to your heart is very important. That will help you get out of your mind. So when we have inorganic thoughts, we're often spending a lot of time thinking, rethinking, overthinking, overanalyzing, um, over processing things. The best way to process is through your connection in your heart. I know you guys like to think a lot. Thinking is not a bad thing, but it can be dangerous because your thoughts are not your own. And until you can distinguish what is yours and not yours, and I would say it, what's organic and inorganic, then you can start to own your own thoughts. Okay. So just to have a recognition of what's yours and, oh, that might be inorganic, doesn't feel like how I normally think. That's definitely inorganic. I must need to connect with my heart. That's the quickest way to at least stop it. You're not going to get rid of it. The only way that I know to get rid of it is to have a deeper connection within, to work with somebody like me and go through the peace program. But at minimum, this technique of going to your heart and connecting, taking a conscious breath, would should disconnect the rabbit hole that those thoughts could take you down. And although it won't delete them from your field, it will stop them from multiplying, which is good. You want to be able to stop that train from going down the rabbit hole. So that's how to recognize inorganic thoughts. It's a big, complex field, the mind, because people are really confused because they believe their thoughts, right? We a lot of people like to believe what they think, um, and that's okay, but it's not always accurate, and it's not always going to lead you to the path of peace. So your path to peace is always going to be an inward feeling, not a thinking process. Okay. I hope you find this helpful. My name is Kiana. I guide people to peace. I do have a peace program to help people with their thoughts. If that's of interest to you, please check it out at kiana.com. Have a great night. Bye bye.